into another episode of Matt Sports Talk, and it's hard to believe that we are in the month of January. I believe January 8th. 8th, I believe it is today. Yeah, January 8th. Was trying to adjust my headroom there. That should trying to make it to where my headroom ain't super. Okay, yeah, that should work. All right. So I'm trying to. I was just trying to adjust my iPhone camera just to make sure that my headroom was pretty good. So without further ado, in this video we are going to be recapping all the men's games from last night, which was Wednesday, January 7th, and of course I mentioned in my videos, I believe it was Monday, that I'd be back with you today recapping all those games. Without further ado, let's dive into that. And our first matchup of last night takes us to Spring Arbor, Michigan, where number 7 Bethel visited the Cougars out of Michigan. And Bethel, the winners here, 90-77. The Pilots were down 6 at halftime and outscored Spring Arbor by 19 in the second half, and that made all the difference there. And looking at stats for the home team, boy, what a great game from Alonis Pasilius. 30 points for him, 4 of 7 at the charity stripe. He had 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. 11 points for Austin Kripe. He struggled shooting, but he did have 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, though, so really good numbers there. 12 points for Luke McBride, 4 of 9 shooting, 3 of 4 at the charity stripe, 5 assists, 1 steal, 3 rebounds. And then Bo Jacque with 6 points and 10 rebounds, so really, really good to see that. And then only 2 points for Colin Colmer, but he did have 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, though. Off the bench, you had Mason Bales with 3 points in just 8 minutes of action. 17 points for Jameer Jefferson off the bench for the Pilots, off 8 of 10 shooting, so really, really good to see that. 2 steals and 3 rebounds. And then 5 points for Carter Kent with 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And Alex Ellenson with 4 points with 4 rebounds. The Pilots shot really good from the field at 52%. Did struggle mightily from 3 at just 17.5%. 9 of 15 at the free throw line for 60%. So obviously you would have loved to have seen those numbers go up, especially under head coach Steve Draven. Only 6 turnovers for the Pilots compared to 10 for the Cougars, so turnovers were pretty even. In terms of shooting, the home team Cougars, 43% from the field. It's not too terribly bad at all. They were better from 3 than the Pilots were, albeit by not a lot, at 25, and they were better at the free throw line, converting 14 out of 19 for 73.7%. And they were led by 2 amazing players, one of which, Travis Grayson, 26 points for him. Now 10 of those 26 were at the free throw line, though. He was 8 of 17 shooting from the floor with 4 assists, 2 rebounds. 20 points for Dante Faber off 8 of 12 shooting, 3 of 6 of a charity stripe, 9 rebounds, so almost a double-double for him. 2 assists, 2 steals, though, and 1 block. 6 points for Brandon Trilly off 3 of 11 shooting, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. 8 points for Aiden Zank, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal for him. And you also had 7 points for David Cundiff with 3 assists, 1 steal. And then off the bench, Warwick Elder with 5 points and 12 minutes of action with a rebound and an assist. 3 points for Eli White with 2 rebounds, and 2 points for Ty Reisky with 3 rebounds. And that was your matchup there. And then the next matchup takes us down to Indianapolis, Indiana, where number 1 Grace visited Marion, I should say. Grace, number 1 in the country. They remain undefeated on the year, 16-0, no problem here, 91-62. And Grace had some really good shooting numbers, but some really good balanced scoring as well. 13 points for Hunter Walston off 5 of 7 shooting, 3 of 5 from downtown, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. 11 points for Ian Rouse off 4 of 10 shooting. It was a perfect 3 of 3 at the charity stripe, though. 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block. 6 points for Gage Sefton, but he did have 3 rebounds. 6 points for Tyler Rouse off 3 of 4 shooting, so really good to see that. 4 rebounds, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. And off the bench, Michael Wellman, 5 of 8 shooting, 2 of 4 from downtown, 4 of 5 at the charity stripe, 16 points for him, 2 rebounds and an assist. 12 points for Cannon Hauser off 4 of 4 shooting, which was all from beyond the arc. 4 assists and 2 rebounds. 10 points for Gavin Betton, 4 of 7 shooting, 2 of 3 at the charity stripe, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. 4 points for Isaac Schultz in 6 minutes of action with 4 rebounds. 5 points for Caleb Harold in 8 minutes of action with 2 rebounds. 5 points for Luke Ricker in 12 minutes of action with a rebound and 3 assists. And then Seth Martin did not score but in 2 minutes of action, but he did have one block, though. And then Cole Hayworth in 11 minutes of action had 3 points and 3 rebounds. 13 turnovers for the Lancers, 13 for Marion, so pretty even there. Marion shot really good from the field at 52, really decent from 3 at 46, and pretty decent at the free throw line, 13 out of 17 for 76%. The home team, Knights, 40% from the field, way worse from 3 at 25, and worse at the charity stripe, 6 of 9 for 66%. And for the home team, they were led by Aaron Humphrey Jr., 16 points for him, 7 of 14 shooting, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. 15 points for Aiden Zanks, 5 of 12 shooting, 3 of 7 of that was from beyond the arc. 2 of 4 at the charity stripe, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 assist. And then Luke Carroll, 8 points with 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block. And 5 points for Dylan Moles, but he did have 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. And then off the bench, you had Nate Luce, did not score, but he did have a rebound, an assist, and a steal. 6 points for Joshua Renfro off the bench, off 2 of 5 shooting, 2 of 2 at the charity stripe with a rebound, an assist, and a steal. And then and then Blake Russell did not score, but he did have 2 rebounds and 1 assist in just 11 minutes of action. And that was your matchup there. And my next matchup takes us to Fort Wayne, Indiana, where St. Francis hosted Receiving Votes Taylor. Taylor, the winners here, winning 84-72. The Trojans go to 13-3 on the year, 5-1 in the conference. This was a team that was projected 7th in preseason, so what a season they're having under head coach Austin Peters. And for the Trojans, they had some really good balanced scoring. In fact, 4 of their 5 starters were all in double figures, led by Isaiah Day, 19 points for him, 7 of 15 shooting, 5 of 11 of that was from beyond the arc, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 17 points for Pete Combs, 8 of 12 shooting, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 1 block. 12 points for Anthony McGee off 3 of 8 shooting, 2 of 5 of that was from beyond the arc. He was a perfect 4-4 at the charity stripe with 2 rebounds, 1 assist. And then 15 points for Nate Paulberg off 6 of 9 shooting, 3 of 5 of that was from beyond the arc. 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. So another double-double, or a double-double, I should say, for Paulberg. So really good to see that. And then off the bench, you had T.J. Davidson did not score in 10 minutes of action. Anor Wogar had 4 points with 3 rebounds and 1 assist, 2 steals. 6 points for Levin Smith, all 3 of 5 shooting with 4 rebounds. And then you also had Dylan DeLuca in 1 minute of action, did not score, but he did have 1 steal, though. And then you also had Nathan Baker, 3 of 5 shooting in 14 minutes of action with 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 8 points for him. But Trojans shot 52 from the field, 44 from 3, so really good numbers there. They were not great at the free throw line, converting 8 out of 14 for just 57%. They did have 14 turnovers, and the home team, St. Francis, only had 11 turnovers. St. Francis, though, shot worse from the field at 41, way worse from 3 at 28. They were better at the free throw line, though, converting 14 out of 20 for 70%. And then looking at the stats for the Cougars, they had a lot of good productive scoring, too. 23 points for Carson Rogers and 14 rebounds, so a double-double for him. 8 of 13 shooting for him, 7 of 11 at the charity stripe with 1 assist, 3 steals, 1 block. 12 points for Mar Avance, 4 of 9 shooting, 2 of 4 from downtown, 2 of 2 at the charity stripe, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. Only 3 points for Joe Reedy, but he did have 3 rebounds and an assist and a steal. 14 points for Jevin Lewis, 5 of 14 shooting, 3 of 3 at the charity stripe, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 rebound. 10 points for Keyshawn McNeil on 4 of 7 shooting, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. And off the bench, you had Justin McNelkin did not score. And then Malachi King in 4 minutes of action, 5 points, 2 of 3 shooting with a rebound and a steal. 3 points for Braden Messenger, but he did have 4 rebounds and an assist, though. Only 2 points for Jordan Fernie in 10 minutes of action, but he did have 1 steal, 1 rebound. And then Eli Zom in 4 minutes of action did not score, but he did have a rebound and an assist. And that was your matchup there. The next matchup takes us to Huntington, Indiana, where Receiving Votes Huntington played Goshen. Huntington, no problem here, even though they kind of struggled in the first half, but really poured it on in the second half, 82-63, so the Forcers remain perfect on their home floor. And looking at the stats for the visitors, you had 17 points. Leading the way was Marcus Northern, 17 points, 6 of 15 shooting, 1 of 5 from downtown, 4 of 5 at the charity stripe, 3 rebounds, 3 steals. Only 2 points for Jaraj Minorovec, but he did have 1 rebound, though. Only 1 point for Braden Allen, and that was at the free throw line, but he did have 4 assists and 4 rebounds. Only 2 points for Kevin Cota, but he had 7 rebounds. 12 points for Cameron Williams, so not too bad at all there. 2 of 6 shooting, 2 of 4 from downtown, 6 of 7 at the line, 2 assists, 1 steal, 3 rebounds. And really good balance scoring off the bench were the Maple Leafs. Kenny May, 6 points with 1 rebound, 1 assist. 9 points for Savion Williams with 4 rebounds, 3 points for Jacob Eiler. Jacob Carlson, 6 points and 3 rebounds. And then Deacon Hill did not score. And then you also had Vasilius Petrides in 1 minute of action did not score. Joshua Gentry, 5 minutes of action with 3 points and 3 rebounds. And the Maple Leafs had 13 turnovers compared to only 8 for the home team. Goshen shot 35 from the field, 29 from 3. Pretty good at the free throw line, converting 15 out of 19 for 78%. The Foresters, though, way better shooting from the field at 46. Worse from 3, believe it or not, but albeit by not a lot at just 25. But they were a little worse at the free throw line, converting 15 out of 21 for 71. And really good balance scoring were the Foresters, led by Keelan Lasisi, 18 points, 8 of 12 shooting, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. 12 points for Jackson Paul, 4 of 8 shooting, 4 of 7 at the line, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 steal. 6 points for Cade Brenner with 2 rebounds. 15 points for Miles Good off 4 of 10 shooting. He was a perfect 6-6 of a charity stripe, and 15 with 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. And then Caden Johnson, 15 points, 6 of 10 shooting, 3 of 4 at the line, 7 rebounds for him. Off the bench, Max McComb, only 2 points, but he did have 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. 8 points for Wyatt Zepp, off 3 of 4 shooting, 2 of 3 of that was from downtown. 3 points for Jackson Jones with an assist, a steal, 3 rebounds. And then you had Landon Beagle, did not score, but he did have 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, though, so really good to see that. And then Luke LaGrange in 5 minutes of action, 3 points. And that was your matchup there. And the final matchup takes us to Mount Vernon Nazarene, where number 10 Indiana Wesleyan faced off against the Cougars of Mount Vernon Nazarene, and the Wildcats, the winners here, 91-66. And I was at this game. It was absolutely amazing. Got a chance to sit courtside, and it was a really, really good game, and I'm so glad I was able to be there. And, of course, it kind of feels strange, when you live here in Mount Vernon and you go to a Mount Vernon game. It's kind of like a homecoming game, but in the same token, it kind of feels like a road game, especially because you're so used to driving 4 hours to our place to go for home games, which of course it's kind of weird saying that you drive 4 hours just to go to home games, but I definitely consider IWU the home university, the home arena, the home court, and absolutely amazing. Definitely love going over there, that's for sure. And last night for the Wildcats, they had some really, really good performances led by Isaac Andrews off the bench. 26 points, a career high for him. 9 of 17 shooting, 8 of 12 of that was from beyond the arc. 5 rebounds, 3 steals for him. Leading the way in terms of the starters was Caedmon Bontrager with 23 points, 8 of 14 shooting, 6 of 8 at the free throw line, so really good numbers there. 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 blocks. 6 points for Jake Smith off 2 of 4 shooting, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. 8 points for Millen McCartney off 2 of 4 shooting, which was all from downtown. 2 of 2 at the charity stripe with 4 rebounds. Only 4 points for DJ Moore. Now, 2 of those were at the charity stripe. He did have 3 assists and 1 rebound. And then 14 points for Julius Gizzi off 5 of 10 shooting, a perfect 3 of 3 at the charity stripe, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. And then off the bench, in 1 minute of action, you had Matthew Brown. Did not score, but he did have an assist, though. And then you also had Rocco Moratori. He played in 2 minutes of action, did not score. And then you had Noah Reed in 2 minutes of action, 2 points, which was all at the free throw line, though. Crew Gibson had only 2 points, but he did have 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and a steal and a block. And then 2 points for Cliff Gashumba in just 1 minute of action, by the way, so really good to see him play. And then Kevin Sakis, 2 of 4 shooting with 4 points. He did have 2 rebounds and an assist. The Wildcats had 10 turnovers. The Cougars had 11 turnovers, so pretty even there. The Wildcats shot really, really well. 53 from the field, 46 from 3. Really good at the free throw line, converting 17 out of 21 for 81%. The Cougars shot way worse from the field at 33, way worse from 3 at 25, and slightly worse at the free throw line, albeit by not a lot, 24 out of 31 for 77%. And then you had, for the home team, you had Isaiah Brown leading the way with 22 points off 6 of 12 shooting. Now, 9 of the 22 were at the free throw line, though. 2 assists, 1 steal, 3 rebounds. And then you had 13 points for Devin Dreyer. Now, 7 of those 13 were at the free throw line, though. 5 rebounds for him. And then Trent Koning did not score, but he did have 2 rebounds. 9 points for Peyton Heiss off 3 of 9 shooting, 2 of 4 from downtown. 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Off the bench, you had B.D. Laurie in 11 minutes of action. Scored only 1 point, which was at the charity stripe. 1 rebound for him. And then you had Drew Koning, had 1 point. That was at the free throw line in just 1 minute of action. And then you had Grant Burkholder, did not score, but he did have 2 rebounds and an assist. And then you also had Junior Cam Bamba, 2 points, which was all at the free throw line. Reed Plattfoot, 1 of 2 on the game with only 2 points with 2 rebounds. Kieran Granville, 3 of 6 shooting, 4 rebounds for him. And then you also had, in terms of your starters, you had Abib, 10 points for him, 3 of 11 shooting. So he kind of struggled shooting, but he was pretty decent at the free throw line, converting 3 out of 6. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal for him. And that was your matchup there. And that concludes recapping all the games from last night. Now, previewing the games for Saturday, you have a really good game. Receiving votes Taylor at Receiving votes Huntington, Mount Vernon Nazarene at number 7 Bethel, St. Francis at Marion, and then you also have Spring Arbor at Goshen, and America's Game of the Week, number 1 Grace at number 10 Indiana Wesleyan. Boy, that is going to be quite a game, that is for sure. And then taking a real quick look at the updated standings, Grace, the 1 seed, 6-0 in the conference, 16-0 overall, perfect on the year. Bethel and Taylor tied for the 2 and the 3 seed at 5-1 in the conference, 15-1 and 13-3 overall, respectively. Indiana Wesleyan solely the 4 seed right now by 1 game at 4-2 in the conference, 13-2 overall. Huntington and Mount Vernon Nazarene tied for 5th and 6th. That head-to-head tiebreaker, though, favoring the Foresters. Huntington 3-3 in the conference, 12-4 overall, still perfect on their home floor. Mount Vernon Nazarene, the 6th seed right now, 3-3 in the conference, 11-5 overall. Marion, the 7th seed, 2-4 in conference, 4-12 overall. And now, if Marion and Mount Vernon Nazarene finish, or if Mount Vernon Nazarene and Marion are tied, then the head-to-head tiebreaker currently does favor Mount Vernon Nazarene. And then Spring Arbor, the 8th seed, right now at 1-5 in the conference, 8-8 overall. St. Francis also 1-5 in the conference, 6-9 overall. And then Goshen 0-6 in the conference, 7-9 overall. So that is an updated view of the standings. Now I'm going to be recording a women's video here momentarily, recapping all those games. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. And if you did enjoy this video, please either like, comment, or subscribe. Any one of those options helps me out greatly. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.